This is Tea Earl Grey Hot, an unofficial Star Trek fan podcast from the Other Side Podcast Network. Series introduction. Hello and welcome to Tea Earl Grey Hot, a Star Trek fan podcast. This is the first episode of this series again. Yes. Joining me tonight for this episode and the many episodes to come is my friend Dave, award-winning podcaster.
Here we go again. Hiya. This is. Now I was going to make some crack about this. It's been such a long time since we spoke, and it's great to be sort of getting together for the first time. Well, it's not, is it?
No. We already recorded this episode 2 days ago, and then within 10 minutes of recording it, I deleted the file, so there's no episode. But we're going to record that again.
Right now, I absolutely empathize, whatever, with the circumstance from 2 days ago, because if you recall, I know you do because you keep mentioning it. I did exactly the same as this. It was a good few years ago now, where I recorded an episode of the Bugcast. Little plug there, and managed to delete it within 5 minutes of having recorded it.
Yeah,
and then when you sent me a message, probably, 15 minutes after we finished recording on Tuesday, and then said, I've done a day. I'm like, yes. You're kidding me, because you actually did exactly the same thing that I did.
Yes. Using RM instead of MV for the geeks out there.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, I very much doubt we're the only two people to have ever done that in our lifetimes.
Oh, yeah. But, when you have to make a mistake, make it early so you have time to fix it.
Yeah, well, I was going to say it was only a short episode, but it wasn't. Yeah. I think we ended up nattering for about 40 minutes, which we may end up doing again.
Yes.
Repeating history and such like. Exactly. Anyway, I suppose we should probably get down to the business of exactly why we are here.
Mm-hmm. So go ahead.
Right. Okay. So you are listening to what is going to be the first of very many episodes of a Star Trek fan podcast. It's an unofficial Star Trek, Paramount, whoever they're owned by now, don't know about this. Okay, and what we're intending to do. No, let's go back a bit further. What started this was the upcoming Amazon Prime series of Star Trek Picard. Now, Yannick and I had a conversation. I mean, we're both huge Star Trek fans. Probably Yannick more than me, actually, if really thinking about it. If you think about what series you've seen and which ones I've seen, and I think I've not seen more than you have.
You've seen them all.
Well, there you go. Yannick, you just came up with the idea of, why don't we do a review podcast of Star Trek Picard? And I thought, that'd be a great thing to do. But as we kind of discussed it, and as it went on, this was originally going to be a Star Trek Picard fan podcast. But then we realised that actually Star Trek is still a thing. There's still other seasons in flight at the moment. We've still got Discovery, which season 3 is coming up at some point in the distant future. There's the Section 31 spin-off, which at the moment hasn't been named. That will be coming soon. I had heard rumours that the Section 31 spin-off is coming before the next series of Discovery, but I don't know how factual that is. And, of course, we are preceded by 1, 2, 3, 4, is it 6? Other Star Trek things that we've all seen part of at the very least, if not all. So there's a lot of opportunity here, I think, for us to not just look at the stuff that's being broadcast at the moment or is going to be broadcast in the future, but also to revisit some of the older series and do a kind of retrospective on those as well.
Yeah, it's great fun. For the future. As you said, we discovered that Star Trek Picard won't be available before early 2020, I guess. We however, have some material for Star Trek Picard. We have a trailer and a teaser. So the short one and the longest one. I personally discovered the teaser just prior to recording this. The original version of this, it's 2 or 3 days ago. So we're going to talk about that in this episode. So as Dave said, we have a lot of material to discuss, but we're going to start for next episode. In this episode, we're going to talk about the teaser, but next episode, we're going to start with Enterprise Season 4. Which Dave, you just started, I guess, and I've seen many years ago, but I'm going to watch that again thanks to a very well-known online streaming site that is not sponsoring.
The one that Picard's going to be on.
Yeah, the one with an N. Yes. So Enterprise Season 4, Episode 1 for next week. So if you're listening to this podcast and you're interested, you have time to watch that again if you already have, or watch it for the first time if you haven't.
Yeah, you said that you watched it quite some time ago.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Season 4 was 1997 it first came out. I never watched Enterprise when it first came out. But over the last 6 months or so, I've kind of binge watched the first 3 seasons. And the fourth season looks really, really interesting because it kind of carries on almost exactly from the point where Season 3 ended in an alternative timeline version of World War II. Yeah, which is going to be well weird. So I'm actually going to be I'm going to be watching that, I think, tomorrow. Yeah. That'll be something to look forward to. Anyway, that's not why we're here.
That's not. No, we're here because we saw the teaser for Star Trek Picard. And I watched that, and my eyes were popping out of my head when I watched that, and I was, wow! I want more! It looks awesome. Visually, it looks like Star Trek Discovery, I guess. What I call the lens flare generation, because there's a lot of lens flare in this trailer, and as well as in Discovery. And it starts with an overhead shot of a vineyard, and of course that's Picard's how do you call that, retreat?
Yeah, that's a good word.
Yeah, and then there's a lot of things going on in this teaser. I'm trying to remember what's the first scene we see after the vineyard.
Well, that's on the. I'm trying to think. That's the smaller of the shorter of the 2 trailers. You get the vineyard, then you see the crate of Chateau Picard. Mm-hmm. And no, I've forgotten as well. Sorry, for your benefit, dear listener, we actually watched the trailers 2 days ago.
Yeah, so we forgot about that.
So I know that in the longer trailer there was the appearance of a young girl, or a young woman probably, who we don't recognise from any of the previous series. But it turns out, I think what I'm trying to remember the quote. It was something like, "If they find out who she is, then she's in danger."
Yeah, the quote is, "If she really is who I think she is, then she's in grave danger."
Ah, that's it. Yes. So there's a lot of in using this trailer, they're setting up a lot of story points, and it really is. It's quite intriguing. to see where they're going to go with this. When you're watching the trailer, there seems to be a lot going on. There's some action. There's a fight scene towards the end of the larger trailer. There are a lot of hints to previous version, the Next Generation series, and also Voyager, with I can't really call them cameos because I think they're going to be regular guests from 7 of 9.
Jerry Ryan.
Something like that. I couldn't remember her name. Brent Spiner's coming back as
Data. Hello?
And what else? We know from the script, from the cast list, that there are some other well-known, high-profile characters from Next Generation, but I don't think we saw any of them in the trailer.
No, but we know for a fact that Riker and Troy are coming back because some of us went to IMDb to have a bit.
Guilty.
Yeah. It's a very nice trailer. There's lots of things. There's the Romulans, there's the Borg, and from what I've seen, I would say that it seems like the Borg are now looking like humans, but I'm not really sure about what I'm saying here. Did you have this impression while watching the trailer?
No, I didn't actually pick that up until you mentioned it 2 days ago. But looking at the history of the original Next Generation timeline, of course, the Borg were a huge part of it was Nemesis, wasn't it? Star Trek Nemesis. And to be fair, I didn't actually watch the second generation of movies until well after they'd been originally released. So I'm not that familiar with that end of the TNG timeline.
Okay.
So, I'm more than happy to accept the possibility that the Borg have advancing their technology to the point where they've managed to fit themselves in around their into their current surroundings, and all the benefits that affords them, because now they don't stand out.
Yeah. Yet, if you watch the trailer, you can see there's the Borg cube, and it's all destroyed and it's empty inside, and it's surrounded by Romulan ships. So did the Romulan finally, won the war against the Borg? I really have no idea, but it's going to be really interesting. I'm sure of that. And there's so Jerry Ryan comes back as the very well-known 7 of 9, a character from Star Trek Voyager. So there's going to be Borg. Well, now that we think of that, 7 of 9 actually looks human. She really looks human. So
she still in the trailer. She still had a small amount of technology of some description just above her eye.
Yeah, you always wonder why she just kept that in Voyager series, but something has to show that she's a Borg and not a human. Maybe, I don't know.
I suppose so. I mean, there may be something that will crop up in the early part of the series as part of the character building. One thing we were talking about the last time we spoke is how the current generation of Star Trek series seems to concentrate more on the building of the characters rather than just the old style Monster of the Week episodes. There's a bigger piece around how the series has been put together, whether that's Alex Kurtzman's influence as showrunner, I don't know. But if Picard is going to be anything like as good as the latter half of season 1 and season 2 of Discovery is, then I don't think we'll be disappointed in the slightest.
Yeah, if they manage to make characters evolve like they did for Tilly in Discovery, then that's
a cracking example.
Yes.
It really is. I know that Tilly as a character, she kind of came into her own at the second half of season 1, when we had the parallel timelines, and she stepped up as the fake captain of the ISS Discovery.
Yes,
in the alternate timeline, and whether it was that made her one of the principals in season 2, I don't know. But as a character and as an actress, she absolutely blew it out of the park. So I would hope to see a lot more from the actors we know, the characters we know, and also the new ones that are coming in, that, to be honest with you, have a lot of work to do.
Oh yeah.
From the watcher's perspective, these new characters have a lot of work to do, because they're kind of walking in the shadows of certainly the 4 that we know about. Sorry, that'd be 5 that we know about from the earlier series. Yeah,
and we don't know if Brent Spinner will be regular or if he's just a cameo in the pilot, or maybe it's just an hologram thing. Data was destroyed.
Exactly.
At the end of Nemesis. So. Is it data? We see an android that is broken in many parts, and my dog decided to take part into this podcast.
Yes, I had noticed. Hello, dog.
So we see a dismantled android in the teaser. So is it data that they put together again? Is it Data's brother before? Because Lore was destroyed, I think during TNG, but before another android. So many things we don't know.
Well, the other possibility, of course, is that it could be a simulation, like a holodeck simulation. If you look at how realistic some of the holodeck simulations have been, it's perfectly reasonable to suggest that Picard was actually sat there with a simulation of Data.
Absolutely. And talking about Data and Brent Spinner, he looked exactly the same almost exactly the same as how he looked back then. So I wonder if they used just makeup, or if they used CG, or if they found something and made Brent Spinner young again. I don't know, but they did a very good job.
I agree with you to a point. I'm afraid I'm going to have to contradict you. Okay. I think he did look a lot older,
really?
and a bit fuller around the face. So I think, in terms of the depiction of Data, whether it's been digitally enhanced or not, I think the base acting is the current Brent Spinner.
Okay, probably they've used some kind of CG to enhance that. Okay.
Now, you mentioned Romulans. Now, one thing I did pick up from some of the research I've done is that the storyline is kind of sat off the back of the destruction of Romulus. Now, that's not the destruction of the Romulan race, is it? That's just Romulus, the planet, I presume.
Yeah. Isn't that the premise of the Star Trek reboot?
The Kelvin one.
Yeah, yes. The Kelvin one.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Which we will not talk about, because we don't talk about the Kelvin timeline.
Oh, is that a rule? Okay, I'll make a note of that one. Yes. So, yeah. Well, bottom line, I'm really looking forward to this.
Yeah.
It's going to be really good. I mean, the fact that we've actually come back and re-recorded what we attempted to re-record what we recorded 2 days ago kind of suggests that, you know, we're really quite keen to get going with this.
Absolutely. It's been when was Nemesis released?
Nemesis was 2002.
2002. So it's been 18 years since we've seen Captain Picard and his friends. And you mentioned last time we recorded that. You mentioned that Patrick Stewart looks very, very old in this trailer.
Now, we have to obviously bear in mind that Patrick Stewart is in his 80s.
Yeah.
He's not a spring chicken anymore. In fact, when he was doing the one before, TNG, he wasn't exactly a young lad then.
Yeah.
But I couldn't help noticing there were a couple of scenes within the trailer. There was one scene where he was pouring whiskey from a decanter into a glass, and he looked really doddery. He was kind of shaking a little bit as if he wasn't quite sure of himself. When we saw a couple of close-ups of him, he looked really quite gaunt in the face. Now, I don't know whether that is because Patrick Stewart is getting on in years a little bit, or whether it's because he's just a damn fine actor. It could be either or. I mean, you have a couple of theories about this.
Yeah. In this scene where we can see his hand shake while pouring a whiskey in his glass, I couldn't help but notice that usually he's drinking tea. And he's drinking Earl Grey tea, hence the name of this podcast.
I see we did that.
And I mean, he's got a vineyard, so probably it would be a wine guy more than a whiskey guy. So if he's going to have a whiskey, then probably something is going very wrong. So I can give to the character that he's a bit nervous and hey, dog. Thank you. Picard is nervous, and Patrick Stewart, being a very great actor, he could play that role very well. And that's at this exact moment that we see 7 of 9. By the dialogue between them, I guess it's the first time she sees Picard. Well, at least in this series. So yeah, to me, there's something really wrong going on, and Picard, the character, is very nervous, and that may be why the hand was shaking. Because last year there was a convention in Las Vegas, and Patrick Stewart was there. That's when he announced that the series was going to start, and it didn't look like he was, tired and old. But Picard has been, it doesn't seem to be retired, but he's been probably out of Starfleet for a while now. And he says the first sentence, one of the first sentences in the trailer is that many, many years ago, his friend Data gave his life for him. So he probably got, I don't know if it's a post-stress disorder. Is that the name? But he's probably not very well. It seems like he's a broken character, and Patrick Stewart is so good that he can play that and make us believe that he is tired and old. Well, old he is, but
that is certainly something I picked up from the trailers, that he does seem broken or damaged by something that happened in the past, whether it was the events that we saw at the end of Nemesis, whether it's something else that happened in the meantime. We won't know until it comes around.
Yeah, and I just can't wait. I mean, this trailer and this teaser, they're just great. And as Picard said to Data, I think it's the end of the teaser, he doesn't want the game to end. Well, me neither. I want more. We had 7 seasons of Next Gen, 7 seasons of DS9, and 7 of Voyager. I want 7 seasons of Picard.
Well, we only had 4 of Enterprise, and only so far 3 that we know of Discovery.
Yeah,
7 may not be a recurring thing.
Yeah, but
I hope it is.
Enterprise. I mean, I believe that they screwed up the 3rd season, and then people lost interest in Enterprise, and by the time the 4th season was produced, it was too late, I guess. So.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with Discovery is what they're doing with Discovery right now could actually it could kill the entire series, because where they've now launched themselves however many hundreds of years into the future, they're now in uncharted territory. As one commentator put it, they're now writing canon.
Yeah,
because they are now effectively outside of the known timeline, and I'm not talking about the alternative, the parallel timelines, but they're now in a timeline that the Star Trek universe has never seen before. So it kind of depends on what they're going to do with it and where the screenwriters go as to how successful this could be. It could be absolutely phenomenal, but at the same time it could also be an absolute turkey, and until it happens we just don't know.
Yeah, but it's no different from when Discovery started. I mean, that part of the timeline we didn't know before Discovery started. So
yes and hang on, where are we? So Discovery is between Enterprise and the original series.
Yes.
So it is a timeline we were aware of.
Yeah.
So the starting and ending timeline of the canonical series, which started with Enterprise and ended with DS9. Voyager, sorry, I always get those two mixed up. That is the known universe front and back. Now, obviously, with some of the individual series episodes, we have gone further forward, we have gone further back. And in fact, if you go on to Wikipedia, there's an article there that says timeline of the Star Trek universe, and it will show you the entire timeline. From the earliest time that an episode is visited to the latest time that an episode is visited. But what I'm saying about the Discovery timeline, where they're going now, is although, yeah, it's probably within the very, very early and very, very late limits of the known timeline, it's not a timeline we have resided in before. We've not lived there before.
Okay,
it's not a permanent. A permanent series timeline. This is something new.
Okay,
so they have a lot of opportunity to change things and to do things as they wish. But with the first series of Discovery, I think they took on a lot. We weren't talking about Discovery, were we? Well, the first series of Discovery, they took on a lot of feedback from the fans, I believe.
Yeah,
which is why then season 2 was actually quite different.
Absolutely.
From season 1.
Yeah.
And I think it worked.
Yeah, because myself, I had to somehow force myself through first season of Discovery. I didn't like it in the beginning. But, being a Star Trek series and me being a Star Trek fan, I watched it. And I mean, I'm sure part of the fact that I like it now is because it kind of grew on me because, I got used to it. But also... it did change. It changed. They changed a lot at the end of season 1 and beginning of season 2. And season 2 was, in my mind, it was a lot better than season 1 of Discovery.
It does make you wonder that for somebody that came along to Discovery for the first time, not knowing that much about the Star Trek universe. I mean, Discovery started in 2016. The last Star Trek episode was in 1997, so almost 20 years between series episodes. So you're going to have a whole new generation of viewers watching Star Trek for the first time, and they're going to be like, "Do you know what? I can't be bothered with this. But if you're, excuse me, if you're a diehard fan, then you are going to stick it out almost out of a loyalty towards the franchise. And like you say, yeah, it probably did grow on you because you felt almost obliged to stick with it.
Yeah, but at the same time, someone who doesn't know what Star Trek is and what it represents might look at Discovery and say, "Oh, it's a nice, space action battle series, and it's great." So I believe that it only did that either just on me or maybe on Star Trek fans, but that could be a good way to attract a new audience to Star Trek, and then gradually drive them to other series. And that's probably why visually the teaser of Picard looks like Discovery, because that's how things are done now. Because maybe that's what young people like now.
Maybe so. And I'm going to approach Picard as disconnected from it as I possibly can, because knowing the previous timeline, the previous series in which Picard starred, there's going to be a certain expectation. There's going to be a certain expectations the only word I can think of, that when Picard starts, you're going to be expecting the Picard from the Next Generation, but 20 years older. And it's, I don't know. I think if you go into it with that expectation, you're either going to, I think you're going to be disappointed.
Yeah. As we said, it's not the same character. It's not the captain that is. How can I say that in English? Sure of himself. Is that a thing?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, the confidence.
Yeah, confidence. Yeah, it really looked like he was doubting himself, not in charge of anything, and while in Next Gen he was the man. He was in charge of everything. There was kind of the Chuck Norris of Star Trek. There's nothing that he couldn't do.
Totally, and no one questioned him. He was beyond reproach. He said anything to anybody, and they just did it. Okay, well, there were some minor exceptions to that, but he had that commanding presence. Yeah. On the bridge of the Enterprise D, and the E, in fact, but. Yeah, I don't think we're going to have that. It's going to be a completely different Picard.
Yeah, which is good. I mean, changes are not always bad. So we know we're going to have some good old friends like Brent Spinner and I forget his name. Riker. Jonathan Frakes,
he's also directing some of the series, some of the episodes,
as he did for almost every series,
including Discovery.
Yes, and Marina Sirtis as Troy, and so a little bit of things, people we know, and new faces too, as we've seen in the teaser. We have at least. One Vulcan in the crew. We didn't see the spaceships though, so we don't know how it's going to look. No,
that'll be interesting.
We only saw. I think it was a bit of a bridge. I
think we did. Yeah, there was certainly the inside of some craft,
and didn't look too big. I would say it's bigger than the Defiant. But smaller, a little bit smaller than Voyager. Maybe the same size as Voyager. It's really hard to say because we didn't see a lot. Might be a lot bigger actually, but maybe it's a ship that's bigger in the inside. No, that's not
like a TARDIS.
That's not the right series.
Yes, coming soon, an unofficial Doctor Who pod. No, we're not going to do that. I don't know.
Well, we could.
We could do. I think we're going to have our hands full with Star Trek for the time being, at least. I don't know whether you knew this. A little bit of trivia. There's only going to be 10 episodes of the first season of Picard.
Really? No, I didn't know.
Yeah, I've just looked it up. So if you're expecting 20 something, whatever the normal is for US, it's usually 16, and then they order another 9 if it's any good or something like that.
Do you think they got bitten by the first season of Discovery and they decided to, let's make 10, see how it goes? And
no, I don't think so, because I think they've got a lot of backing this series up. There's going to be already a lot of following, a lot of anticipation for this. So I don't think that's the case. It might be. No, I couldn't even begin to think why there are only 10 episodes on this series. But I mean, the fact that they're doing it completely on demand. No, but there again, so was Discovery. It was completely on demand as well.
Mm-hmm.
Meh, I don't know.
Yeah. So.
Anywho.
Yep. The only thing that's left to do is wait for early 2020, and then we will watch. We will discover this pilot, and then we're going to do. I believe the plan is to release an episode of this podcast after each episode of Star Trek Picard when that comes live. In the meantime, we have not decided just yet if we're going to do an episode a week or maybe one every other week. So those things are going to be decided in the. Well, we have already decided to record an episode next week, but after that, we'll see.
I think a lot of it depends on when they announce when Picard is going to start in 2020. Because let's work on the basis that it's early, so February time. We've got 6 months, which is only 26 weeks. So with there being 20, whatever it was, 24 episodes of season 4 of Enterprise, if we're going to be covering that before Picard starts, and we're only going to be doing it every couple of weeks, then we're going to have to possibly do 3 to 4 episodes covered per recording, which may or may not work.
Yeah,
but and if it comes to it, because it's not a current series, you can always split it.
Yeah,
pause what we're doing with Enterprise 4 and jump straight onto Picard, which will take priority.
Of course, and as you said, Discovery season 3 is coming, and probably section 31 too. So, well, I guess if we wanted, we would have enough material for an episode a week. So we'll see. Stay tuned. If you're listening to this, obviously that means I didn't delete the file, and we successfully put up an RSS feed, and you found it. So good job. Talking about that, where can you find this fine podcast and more information about the whole team? So that's Dave and me. You can find that on our website. The address of that is tearlgreyhot.org, all in one word, no hyphens, because hyphens are evil. And do you want to do the following?
Yep. So if you want to get in contact with us, and we really do welcome any feedback, if you want to weigh in on the conversation, if you want to correct anything we've said wrong, and that probably will happen, or if you just want to send us general feedback, then we have an email address, which is feedback@tearlgreyhot.org.
Or if you actually want to talk with us, you can send us an email, and we're going to bring you on the show for an episode and talk with us. Why not?
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be great fun.
We also have a Patreon, because everybody's got a Patreon, so why not us? So patreon.com/tearlgreyhot. What we're going to do, should we have some patrons, we're only going to publish a paid post once per month when we do an episode, because if we do only 2 or 3 or 4, I mean, there's no sense in having a paper episode. I don't really like that anyway. there's no sense of making a pay per month if we don't do an episode a month. So yeah, what we're gonna do if we do an episode during a month, then we will release a paid post, and you will be charged for that. So you can become a Patreon for $1, $2, $5. I think I've set up some goals. So go check out our Patreon, patreon.com/TEarlGreyHot.
I might actually reach out to Patreon and find out if they'll do that as an option. So have it as a charge monthly if we publish a paid post during that period, because that would kind of make sense. And we're also on Twitter. You can find us at twitter.com/TEarlGreyHot2 because some lovely person decided to register the username TEarlGreyHot and then not use it.
Yeah.
So TEarlGreyHot2, the number 2.
Also, we want to thank Maestreccio for the awesome theme music that he put up for us in record time. It's really, really great. We have our own theme, and I don't know what to say else than very, very big thanks, Maestreccio.
Most definitely. He's worked with us on another project as well, and he's an incredibly talented chap.
Yeah.
Now, probably the last piece of housekeeping is we will be releasing this episode and all episodes under a Creative Commons license. We are big supporters of the Creative Commons movement. I think we've decided on by attribution share alike.
Yes.
And we'll put a link into the show notes as to what that actually, to the official page as to what that actually means. What it does mean is that for the portions of the show which are original, which most of it is, you can pretty much do what you like with it as long as you identify myself and Yannick as the creators and the authors of the work. And also, if you do decide to repurpose it, make any changes to it, splice it and dice it, whatever, you have to then re-release what you've changed in exactly the same license. It's just a way of paying it forward. It comes under the heading of free culture, which we really strongly support. But like I say, we'll put a link to that particular license in the show notes so you can see exactly what that means.
Yes, and the last item was next episode, but we already talked about that. Yes, just we have to mention that this podcast is part of the Other Side Podcast Network, which is a network that Dave and I started a few years ago. Check out our awesome shows on the network at otherside.network. And yes, that's an official top-level domain.
Yes, .network. Yeah, that catches a few people. Yeah. Try it. It is there.
Yeah. Well, Dave, thank you for joining me on this first episode again. Hopefully, I won't.
Episode.
Yeah. Hopefully, I won't delete this one. Well, thank you for listening to TEarlGreyHot episode. Well, I guess episode 0. And we will catch you next time.
Indeed. Thank you so much for listening.
Live long and prosper. Yeah, I did it. Bye-bye.
Ta-da.
You've been listening to a member of the Other Side Podcast Network. Find out more about our shows at otherside.network.